Gather around, everyone, and lean in close. Let the fire keep the shadows at bay just for a little while. The story I'm about to tell you is one I heard from an old park ranger, a man whose face was a roadmap of sun and worry. He swore every word of it was true. It's about a trail not far from here, known to locals as the Whisperwood Path. It's not on any official maps, and for good reason. They say if you walk it at twilight, the woods start to talk to you, not in a friendly way, mind you. At first, it's just a rustle in the leaves that sounds like your name. You'll stop, look around, and see nothing. You'll laugh it off, blaming the wind. But as you walk deeper, the whispers get clearer. The ranger told me about a group of 4 hikers, cocky and experienced, who laughed at the local legends. They set out on the Whisperwood Path one afternoon, determined to prove it was all just a silly folk tale. They had tents, supplies for 2 days, and a whole lot of confidence. That was their first mistake. As the sun began to dip below the tree line, casting long, dancing shadows, the first hiker, a guy named Mike, stopped dead. "Did you guys hear that?" he asked. The others paused, listening. "Hear what? The wind?" "Another one," Sarah replied, but Mike shook his head. "No, it sounded like it said my name." They teased him, of course, and pushed onward. But then, a few minutes later, Sarah froze. Her eyes were wide. "Okay," she stammered. "I heard it too. It said Sarah." The air grew thick with a sudden tension. The playful mood was gone, replaced by a creeping unease. The whispers became more frequent, calling each of them by name, the voices seeming to come from all directions at once, yet from nowhere at all. They decided to turn back. But here's the chilling part. The path was gone. Where the well-trodden trail should have been, there was only a dense, impassable wall of thorny bushes and ancient trees. They were trapped. Panic set in. The whispers weren't just calling their names anymore. They started to share secrets. "Mark!" a voice hissed, sounding like dry leaves skittering across pavement. "We know you lied to your boss last week." Mark paled. "Liam!" another voice giggled, a sound like a child's, but utterly devoid of warmth. "Why didn't you visit your mother in the hospital?" The whispers turned cruel, unearthing their deepest fears and regrets, twisting them into verbal knives. It was psychological torture designed to break them down one by one. They tried to make a run for it, blindly crashing through the undergrowth, but the woods seemed to shift and change around them. Trees would appear where none were before. The ground would turn swampy under their feet. The whispering voices followed them, laughing and taunting. According to the ranger, one of them, Liam, simply couldn't take it anymore. He covered his ears, screaming for the voices to stop, and ran off into the darkness, away from the group's campfire. The others called after him, but their calls were swallowed by the cackling whispers. They never saw him again. The remaining 3 huddled together, terrified, as the whispers grew louder and more menacing, now promising what they would do to them when the fire died. The ranger found their abandoned campsite 2 days later. The tent was shredded, their gear was scattered, and the fire was a cold, dead pit of ash. There was no sign of Mike, Sarah, or Mark. The only thing he found, scrawled into the dirt with a trembling finger, was a single word: listen. So if you're ever out in the woods and you hear a whisper on the wind that sounds a little too much like your name, don't ignore it. And whatever you do, don't follow it. Just turn around and walk away, because some paths aren't meant to be walked, and some woods are hungry. Thanks for listening to my story tonight. If you enjoyed getting the chills, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the dark. Stay safe out there and check your shadows.